want to take one to look at, great. Have good conversations about it because, as I told your students, I will meet with them at least every year, more often than that really, but every time that I talk to them about their schedule and registration and anything like that, my first question is almost always, what do you want to do after high school? And I know that feels really big because you're not even in high school yet, but our purpose here is to help you get to the next stage in your life. We want you to come to high school and get engaged and get involved and enjoy your time when you're here, but we want to help you be successful once you are beyond our walls as well. And so if they come to me and your answer is, I have no idea what I want to do, that's fine, absolutely fine. That's what we're here to help you do. And that's what exploring some of your different classes is going to help you do. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Bentley. He's going to take the first little bit of this, and then I will come back and kind of talk through some specific classes that you can see on your sheet.
Good evening. I appreciate you all being here this evening. First, if I'd stand out there, can you hear me? Just let me know. I don't like standing behind a mic, so I'm sorry. I'm more of a mover, and those of you that know me know that. So if I'm not loud enough, just tell me get loud enough. Mr. Benson in charge of that, okay? All right. So what does your future look like? When we ask that question, it's about what you want to explore, what you want to do. It could be an interest or something that you've heard about. Maybe you have 1, 2, or 3 different ideas that you want to learn about and explore. So we have a partnership with Kirkwood called Workplace Learning Connection. What that allows is our students can come in and give job shadow 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. They can go through, there's 2 windows a year, so they go first semester and second semester. And for those of you that might have an interest that you really think you want, we want to get you in there as soon as we can so you can learn about that and see if there's different avenues or if that's what you want to be. If you don't know of anything, we try to get you to take as many of those job shadows exploration opportunities as possible so you can see if that's the career path you really want to go, and then learn about which level that's going to enter. There's 3 levels that we talk about. And you'll hear this with partnership, and you'll hear it a lot in your classes. You've got entry level jobs, and there's a bunch of jobs that you can, when you graduate, you can enter. We've got career technical that takes certifications, 2-year on-the-job training, apprenticeships, etc. And then you've got further up in your professional careers. Those typically take a 4-year degree, master's degree, etc. And that's kind of how the paths work, is you've got 3 pathways that your future is going to look like. So then when you go down to the questions, how will you know that this is what you want to do? You may not. You may do something a couple times and think you really want it, and then your 3rd or 4th, you get a little deeper into it. We had an individual that wanted to work at a funeral home, and she finally went there, and it wasn't the involving process of dealing with the bodies or anything, it was all the paperwork that came with it. And she's like, I don't want to do all that paperwork, I'm not about that, I'm not into that. So we were able to give her multiple experiences so that she could transfer out of that and make a different decision and path before she goes and spends all that money. And that's really what it's about, is let you experience what you want to do on our dime. You go to Kirkwood, we pay for that. Okay? The high school will pay for that, school district pays for that. So you get to explore different academies, different courses there. So if you're going to go to the professional, my suggestion and my advice would be get into Kirkwood. If you can get a 2-year or any classes you can get out, that's going to lower the amount of money that you have to take out for loans and so forth as you go. But what you want to know is, how will you know? You got to just experience different things and see which avenue it sends you down. What will it take to get there? Again, that's the research that you do with this young lady over there. You do your work through your different courses, the different electives and everything that you'll take as you go through, and experiences. The Iowa Department of Ed sets our requirements, right? You've got 4 years of English, 3 years of science, 3 years of history, 3 years of math. You have to take those. Those don't go away. You fail it, you've got to redo it no matter what. Those are set. The electives are the choices and opportunities that you can take to explore in addition to what those core content area classes have. The next one's probably the biggest thing that I talk about. The high school is really a fresh start. What you do here when you walk in day 1 is kind of what you'll be judged off of as you go. I don't care about your past. I would say Ms. Harderson doesn't care about your past if you had behaviors or struggles academically, etc. This is a fresh start. The thing that we talk about is we don't like to live in a world of conflict. Our teachers aren't here to deal with your behaviors and argue with you, and they're here to help you learn about your content so that you can go back to what your future looks like. You don't want to play a lot of games of dealing with conflict and behavior and different things that way. Come here, do the work, help yourself get to graduation so that beyond that, you're going into what you want to do that makes you the money the fastest and saves you the most amount of money as you go. That's really how this is about. This is a fresh start. You're a young adult. That's how you'll be treated. That's how we try to talk to you and work with you on. 4 years to lay a foundation. Students, I would say, talk to your parents about this. 4 years goes fast. Okay, it flies by. Graduation is not an end result here. Graduation happens on the way to where you want to go. Graduation is a part of the process that takes you to your future. So again, the last two things I'll just touch on before we move to the next slide is explore. We've got a lot of offerings here that not every school has. Explore, take risks, take chances, and set high goals. And then what you want to do beyond, learn about it. Explore that. Thank you. So some of the options that we offer here through a variety. I don't know, I'm sure you've probably already heard about Future Ready. One of the things that we talk about, it used to be work-based learning. It's called career-connected learning. It's a state initiative right now. We have work-based learning opportunities, and then we have career exploration opportunities that go on our report card. So I don't know how many, as everybody's aware, or students are aware, but we have a report card that we are scored on. The state of Iowa is going to score us on our work-based learning opportunities, our career exploration opportunities, along with our ISAF scores, our growth scores, and then obviously the attendance with the chronic absenteeism. So when we talk about our education, there are a lot of factors that lead into that, and we don't have a lot of wiggle room to waste your time. So take advantage of your 4 years and take risks, take challenges. Apprenticeships, I'll go back to that real quick. Apprenticeship careers, that's one of our work-based learning opportunities. We have a teacher that is going back for a certification to take care of that. When we talk about certificate, that falls into the career technical. Diploma, your associate's degree is at 2 years. Again, that would fall under the career technical, your 2-year degrees, applied science, associate arts of science, etc. Bachelor's, that's your professional. You go 4 years, and then the master's comes on in addition to that, and then the doctorate's above that. And then also, I think one thing that people forget about is our military and specialized training. Ms. Harderson, I think we have military representation in our building at least once a month from one of the branches multiple times. So that's another piece that we try to get our students in and explore and experience, because that's another career opportunity or experience that they can embrace. Thank you. So our latest reality that we have in the state of Iowa, and this is another thing as we talk about what we can do here, and we talk about, again, the 3 pathways: entry, career technical, and professional. If you take anything, please take that with you tonight. 12% of the jobs in the state of Iowa only require a high school diploma. 31% of our current population is working in that. So there's not enough jobs there even for all those people, but that's the level that we're working at. 52% of our jobs that require a 2-year apprenticeship, etc., are the jobs that are available, and we have 33%. So that's one of your heavy trades. A lot of your on-the-job, your trades, your apprenticeships, your 2 years, your certifications. That's one of the big initiatives right now at the state of Iowa, is because, what are we, 19% below right there. We've got to educate our students, our population. Those are good jobs with good wages and good benefits, and they're important to our economy. And we've got to find a way to make sure that as a school we're talking about and exploring and letting our students know about that, because that's a need in our state of Iowa. Because if you look, 36% of the jobs in Iowa require a 4-year degree. That's full. Currently, there's 36%, so that's full. So what that means in our translation, in the state of Iowa, when we have students with 4-year degrees, they're leaving our states. They're moving on and going to a different state. So it's a high-demand, high-volume workforce. Not saying that you can't go 4-year, but you have to know, like, we want you to know exactly where you're going, because when you come out of that 4-year from college, there's going to be a demand for your skill sets. What separates you from everybody else? So that relates back to all your understanding and experiences as you go through. And I think this is my last one. Attendance and eligibility. So really, being here is the key. You come here every day. Your teachers are going to work with you, and they're going to work with you. We do not, the absenteeism piece is a piece that's put in by the state of Iowa. We are not here to catch people. We are here truly just to have a way to find a partnership to get your son or daughter to school. We want them here so that they can learn, so that they can take advantage of the hardworking people that you're going to hear a few of them speak here in a couple of minutes, and really just explore. Figure out what they want to do. Their education is what they're in control of, and so by being here on a regular basis, hopefully as they get older, it's because they want to, will help them be successful and grow as they move forward. So I thank you for your time. I appreciate you being here tonight and giving up your time to listen to me, listen to Ms. Harderson. And if you have any questions in the future, you can reach out to her or myself. Thank you.
So these are big things, right? And again, we are not expecting everybody to remember all of these things, but I think it's important for us to lay that foundation of this is why we are here. This is what we are here to help you as students do and get to that next step. So just know that all the decisions that we make are to help you get to that end goal. This is another something that the state sends out and things that we're rated on. This is actually something I'm going to talk to students out a little bit more when I see them tomorrow. But if you see up there, I'll give you just a brief highlight. Those top scores, this is what our school, that report card that Mr. Bentley talked about, those ones are come from ISASP scores. Not that any of you or your students would do this, but if you just like fill in the bubbles and go back and forth, that's a big portion of what we're rated on as a score, and it also impacts you. I told the 8th graders we are already looking at their scores. We've already started looking at ISASP scores, FAFSA scores. They're getting some diagnostic testing, so we're already looking at those things because we want them to be successful in high school. So just know that those things are important, and we do look at them, and sometimes it can impact which classes that you take, and especially as you get older, Kirkwood classes, you have to be eligible to do those, so those are all kind of things that go into that. Okay. We're going to dig into some classes. After this presentation, I will send out, actually, I think Trevor's got us live streaming, so this is recording, so we'll get that sent out too for you to rewatch if you need anything or to send out to anybody that can't be here. But I will also send this presentation that has links in it. So this link right here is important, and I showed it to students, and I know it feels a little overwhelming because it's 50 pages long, but your best friend in this document is the FIND function. This is our program of studies. It lists every single class that we offer with a description of what it is. So when you're filling this out and you're like, I don't know what the difference between Algebra 1 and Algebra 1 Amped is, this is a good place to start. Of course, they can ask me. Of course, they can talk to other people, but this is a really good place to start. And so if I'm thinking about art foundations, if I just search for art foundations, it helps me get there a lot faster, and then I didn't have to scroll to page 27. Okay, so we'll talk about this, look at this, but just know you'll have this link. This will be important to them for the next 4 years, because we will get to do this at least once a year, and like I said, I usually see them more often than that. Big things that they need to know. Oh, I'm not going to be able to walk away because I got to flip my own slides. I know, but then I got to come back to the computer. It's all right, I'll move a lot. They need 56 total credits to graduate. They can get 16.5 a year. That leaves some extra. So if you do the math, you can actually get to 56 by the end of the first semester of their senior year. We do that on purpose for a couple of reasons. One, we build in some wiggle room. So one, we have some students that graduate early. They get to the end of the first semester of their senior year and they leave. If you passed everything up until then, they can do that and move on to whatever their next step is. We also, when we get to be a junior and senior, have opportunities for students to go to Kirkwood or to do an internship. And sometimes that means that the amount of classes you're taking there, like if, for example, if they take afternoon Kirkwood right now, they're scheduled in 3 classes, but we have to block them out for 4 periods because they have to get there and back because it's in Monticello. So really they're dropping a credit. So they're only getting 7 credits that semester. That's fine. That's why we have that wiggle room built in. It is not so that you can fail a class. Although if that does happen, we will figure it out and we'll move past it. But know that when you get to the high school level, if you fail, especially a core class, you don't just move on, you have to go back and retake that. So if you fail the first semester of Algebra 1, as a 10th grader, you're coming back and you're sitting in an Algebra 1 class with the next year's freshmen. You have to have those required classes in order to graduate. If you fail an elective, you don't necessarily have to retake that class, but you do need to take another one to fulfill that credit. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that because, oh, thanks. I appreciate you, Mr. Compton. We're not going to have that as a problem, so we're all right. Currently, we run an 8-period day. Our periods are 46 minutes. We run on semesters, so all the classes that you sign up for will be a semester long. So August to mid-January right now, and then January to May. Most core classes are a year long.
but they'll get a grade by semester, and a lot of our electives are one semester at a time. We talked about prerequisites with students, so they know, like, if they eventually want to get to certain classes, there might be a class they need to take beforehand. Like, if they want to take our digital to media design class, they have to take graphic design first. So we talked about that a little bit, because after they work with me tomorrow on a 9th grade schedule, they're going to meet with me and Mrs. Lessenhop, and we're going to do a 4-year plan where they kind of map out what they might want to do the rest of their 4 years in high school. And we do that intentionally, because if they put on their schedule a whole bunch of classes that they want to take that have prerequisites and they don't have them in their 9th grade year, we want to start thinking about that and changing that so we're putting them on the right path to start with. Here are all the specific requirements that they need. Mr. Bentley kind of talked about those top required classes. They're required to have 4 semesters worth of PE, so they just need 1 semester per year. Lots of our students end up with more than that. That's fine. That's the minimum. You can go over any of these numbers. These are just the minimums. They need 1 semester of health. All of our students take that as a freshman, health and development. They'll do personal finance either their junior or senior year. Advisory is something they'll be in all 4 years. They'll get assigned an advisory teacher, and they will stay with that teacher all 4 years. Currently we have it just on Wednesdays. In the past we've had it on other days of the week, so whenever they get that advisory, that's kind of like their home base. That will be your contact when we have conferences. That'll be the person that's kind of your go-to. Their advisory teacher is kind of their go-to person. So that's why we keep them with them all 4 years. So hopefully they can build a good connection and have somebody that knows them and continues to know them as they move through high school. So our English sequence here, and if you have the paper in front of you, you can kind of see in the box at the top, there's a set of required classes. Those are just, there's a lot of required classes their freshman year. It gets less and less as they get older, and you'll kind of see that as we move through, but all of our 9th graders will take English 9, all 10th graders take English 10. When we get to 11th and 12th grade, we've got some options. We have a couple Kirkwood classes that are offered actually here by high school teachers, so they can take an English class, a high school level English class, or a college level English class, and they will still count for your high school graduation requirements. So this is kind of our pathway there. They won't have to really do anything, but I like, again, we kind of be thinking ahead to where we might want to go. And then eventually they'll get some extra English electives that they can choose. There's not on this page, but I think if we go to the next one, there are some. They're communication classes, but there are a couple of them you'll see with an asterisk that do count as an English credit. So when you get to be a senior, English 12 is only 1 semester, and that second semester, because they need that full year, they get to pick. And they can take any of these classes, any of the ones on my last slide. So they could take Intro to Journalism their freshman year, and by the time they get to be a senior, they only have 1 English class left because they've got that done already. I think we can go. Then these are a couple prerequisite classes that I just talk about with them, making sure that we're thinking about. Journalism is our yearbook class. So if yearbook is something that you're really interested, know that you have to take either graphic design or Intro to Journalism first. So we want to be thinking about that your freshman year so we can get you into that yearbook. Same with, we have a digital design lab and a future ready prep, which we'll start talking about once they get more 10th and 11th grade. Okay, so everybody gets to take Algebra 1, but you have 2 options of how you take algebra. So you can take regular Algebra 1, math like you're used to, sitting in a classroom, same kind of format, or we can take amped algebra. It is the exact same math, it's the same learning, but when you're in amped, they also take an Intro to Business class at the same time. So instead of it being a 2-credit full year algebra class, it's actually a 4-credit, 2 math, and 2 Intro to Business credits. And then the idea is that they learn the math content, and then they have to go apply it to a business concept. So one of the projects they work on is like making t-shirts. So they learn the math behind it, and then they also look at business aspects of how would we market this, how much is it going to cost, and they kind of blend those 2 things together. Neither one is better, worse, easier, harder. It just depends how you like to learn. They'll have another choice when they get to be, actually I think you can go ahead because I think it's on the next one too. I did put the descriptions in. I won't read these to you, but you'll have them. And I think the next one is amped. If you click on that link up there, you don't have to do it right now, but when you get home, if you want to look at that, there's a video about more about amped that might help explain it if you still have some questions. I know this looks crazy. But again, once we get older and we start talking about what they want to do after high school, they will have to decide. There are some choices that are, all of these are good for high school graduation. They're all going to get you a high school math credit. Some of these are going to be great for like a 2-year trade and apprenticeship. Some of them will not get you into a 4-year college, like applied algebra 2. And again, that decision doesn't have to be made until their 11th grade year or until they get to algebra 2, whenever that is. This algebra 2 class is good for a 4-year. This one is only good for trade, apprenticeship, 2-year, something like that. I will help. We make sure that they know that. We help them get to the right one. But I think sometimes people get confused and are worried that AMPT won't let them eventually go to a 4-year college, and we do not make you have to know that yet. And the same with geometry. Next year they'll do the same thing with geometry and construction. They take 2 credits of geometry, 2 credits of a construction class. Same idea, threading those 2 contents together. So just know in all of this, what you need to know is it does not matter which one you pick. All of the options after high school are still available to you. These are just our math classes laid out. Science. All of our 9th graders get to take earth science. 10th graders take biology, and then you'll notice a common theme here. Once we get to 11th and 12th grade, things get a little messy. And that is on purpose. It is because we want you to have the opportunity to take the path that makes the most sense for you. So when we get there, that's what you're doing your 9th, your 10th grade year. You're figuring out your options. You're trying to figure out what you want to explore. So when you get there, we're ready to kind of help exploring some of those career paths. There is one science elective. You can take environmental science as a freshman, so if that sounds interesting to you, that's a 1-semester class. That could be one of the electives that you choose. Social studies. 9th graders will all take world history. That's a year long. You have to have that. 10th graders all take US. Sometime in 11th or 12th grade, you'll take 1 semester of government and 1 semester of econ. These are all 6 of the minimum requirements you need for graduation. And then I think if you go to the next slide, it'll show some electives. So as a freshman, you can also take a geography class or an Iowa history class. And then you'll see that we get lots more options as you get older. Something you want to maybe be thinking about as you get into 10th grade, we have an option. You can take US history, or we're adding next year, you can actually take 2 Kirkwood classes right here with our same US history teacher, and they'll be Kirkwood classes, so they could come out of 10th grade with 2 Kirkwood classes already, if that's something they're ready for and you think that might fit where you're going. All freshmen will take health and development, plus 1 PE classes. We have 3 options for PE classes. Intro to strength and speed is weightlifting out in the weight room. Personal and everyday wellness is basically a walking for wellness class. They do a lot of walking. They set step goals. They make personal wellness goals, but for the most part, you walk and walk and walk and walk. And some of our kids love it, and some of you are thinking that sounds awful, and that's okay. That's why we have 3 choices. We also have sports and activities, and that's probably going to be PE like you're used to, basketball, badminton, doing something in the gym. All 3 of them count. You'll take 1 semester at least all 4 years, and that's something that can be flexible. So you might take 2 your freshman, well, you probably take 1 your freshman year, you might take 2 your sophomore year, and then another 1 your junior year, and then maybe your senior year, you're so full going to Kirkwood or have an internship that you're out of the building that you might not have time, and that's okay because you have the requirement done. There are a couple other classes. Ooh, I think actually I'm skipping ahead. Go ahead. These are all of our other electives. So in the middle school right now, you call them exploratories, and you do get to pick now, right? You pick 2 you're in for each semester. Is that right? So you'll get to pick a lot more than 2. And again, as you get older, more and more, but these are kind of like the overall, we have an ag department, an art department, band, business, choir, family consumer science, foreign language, industrial tech, and then again, Kirkwood classes that we'll get to. So I just want to kind of go over a little bit of what those electives are. If you want more information about what they are, go to that course manual, read the description, come and ask me. We'll help you get there. No, as a freshman, most of them start out with Intro to Ag. It's a 2-semester class. It is a prerequisite class for some of the upper ones, so if you think there's things on this slide you want to get to, Intro to Ag is a great place to start. They can also next year take aquaculture as a freshman. Some of them will kind of alternate every other year, so like right now we have meats processing is happening right now. But it won't be taught next year, it'll be taught the next year, so they kind of flip-flop. So we have to be careful about that because especially as you get older, we have students that really want to take vet tech 1 and 2, and it's only offered every other year. So we got to make sure that we have room in your schedule to do that. This is your description for Intro to Ag. I'll let you guys read on your own. And then I'm going to turn over the art talk to Mrs. Wendt because she knows significantly more about art. And probably a lot of other things. Do you want, actually, you can go to the next one.
Okay, so the thing I want you guys to keep an open mind about is art in the high school is very different than art that you have experienced so far. Right now, one of the leading careers in art that branches over into a lot of things that's offered at Iowa State is an industrial design career. And so you no longer have to think about art as being the starving artist. I have 4 former students who did that at Iowa State. One works for Under Armour and creates backpacks and other travel type things. I have a student that went through that and works on creating drills and redesigning them. So it leads into a lot of different avenues, okay? So what I have set up here is kind of the pathway to help you be more successful there. If you did not take art in 8th grade, you will have to take art foundations before you take other classes. Even if you took art foundations and you did not get a grade that Ms. Davis would recommend you to move beyond it, you will still have to go take that. The benefit of art foundations is we do a little bit of everything, so drawing, clay, painting, some other 3D stuff, so that when you choose the other courses, you're choosing it more knowledgeably, because if you think you like to draw and then take drawing 1 and then decide you don't only want to draw, it can be a little bit painful, okay? One thing I will say, I've had former students who have gone into HVAC systems, some that were dental hygienists, that have come back and said that taking drawing or ceramics was actually very helpful because it helps advance your skills in like the sculpting and some of that other stuff. So art does lend itself out to a lot more careers than what you think. So I would just ask you to be a little bit open-minded about that. And because of computers, we're kind of branching out into everything. And that's where that industrial design career is growing so much, because they learn about technology, the CAD program, which goes into industrial sciences, and some other stuff. So this is everything I offer. There's a lot. And then it also leads into like art portfolio is for kids that kind of want to go into art or just want to keep going beyond the classes that I have. That's more of a personalized learning for yourself. So like as an example, I had a student that was going into the industrial design, and we did the whole drafting, and then they would draw it, and then they would create 3D mock-ups of things that they wanted to create later, and then they would take that and go for a scholarship opportunity. So those are things that I offer, and like I said, just keep an open mind. It branches out into other things, and I don't do sketchbooks.
We're going to skip ahead to band just because Mr. Compton has to get back to one of his rehearsals. So I'm going to let him talk to you about our instrumental music program.
Hey, how you guys doing? All right, I'm the band director here, and who's in band right now? Who's in band right now? Several, I recognize several faces, that's cool. So the band program here, it's one period, but it covers a whole lot of things. So we've got concert band, we've got marching band, we've got solo and ensemble festival, and all that makes you eligible to also do the jazz bands. And right now we've got 2 jazz bands. Number 1 jazz band, Jazz 1, is in rehearsal right now. I have to get back to that because they're doing their own thing right now. And Jazz 2, a lot of kids have been playing the same instrument for a while, and they want to start to learn a different instrument. So that's where that comes in. So if they've been playing trombone for a while and they've always wanted to play sax, boom. So currently in Jazz 2, one of our trumpet players is playing drums, and that kind of thing happens. So The band program is competitive. Anamosa is a competitive school. Not all schools go out and do competitions. So our marching band does compete, and we've won, and that has given us opportunities to get invites to go play at the Macy's Day Parade and things along those lines. That's a little expensive. We're going to New York next year. So if you're in band, you have the opportunity to go on the New York trip. If you don't know about this, there is a meeting Monday night where you can start finding out about that. If you're in 8th grade and haven't gotten the invitation on that, please send me a note or Mr. Ely, and we'll get you hooked up. The information meeting will be in here on Monday evening. I think it's at 6 o'clock. I don't remember. Yeah, that sounds right. But I am available at all points if you have any questions about things. And yeah, any questions, just shoot me a note. I have to get back to my rehearsal. Bye.
I'm going to back up. See where we are? We're getting towards the end here, I promise. It's nice when you get to start hearing from somebody else than just me all the time. Sure. You want to come now? I don't know why I put these in order. It doesn't matter. That's fine. Go for it. Thank you for being here.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brooke Hine. If you know Lauren Hine, that's my sister. I'm Ava Remley. We're here to talk about choir. We're both in chamber choir, which is the top choir at Anamosa High School. We both are involved in a lot of things. I'm in the jazz band, the marching band, student council. We're both in student council, show choir, what else? Speech. Radar production, so like theater, cross country, track, we're in a lot of stuff. And so we're here to help you keep an open mind that choir is 100% able to be in your schedule. I think there's a lot of times, I was going into freshman year, I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot fit this in my schedule. I have so many things I have to fit, but it is 100% manageable. I am in choir and band and super involved, and I make it work, and you guys definitely can make it work too.
Yeah, in addition to that, I know that Compton talked about it briefly, but there's a New York trip next year at the end of the year, so if you're in band or choir for the entire year, then you can go on the trip, and I think that'd be really fun. You can just be with all your friends, and it'd be a lot of fun.
And me and Ava, we're also in AP classes and Kirkwood classes, so we're really involved and we make it work. And I think it's just a lot of people don't realize that you can make that work, so it's 100% able to happen. If you have any questions, you can talk to us about it. And also there's a lot of people in sports that are in band and choir too. We have a lot of football players, volleyball players, so many people that are involved in so many different things at our high school. So you can be too, and we'd love to have you. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay, we're jumping around. That's okay. Information technology, business elective classes that we have as a freshman, intro to business, computer business applications. Computer science, I did want to talk about briefly. You might see it listed as computer science or with Night Moves or in small. Night Moves is actually the curriculum that we use. It's run a little bit different. There is a teacher in the classroom, but actually the curriculum that they will use will be directly coming from a program. So they will watch videos and have a program that they're working with, basically one-on-one. You'll work at your own speed. Some of you might get through the curriculum faster. There's 4 years worth of curriculum, so they're not going to max out on that. But it's just a little different approach that we're trying. It'll be new for us next year. So like I said, there will be a teacher in the room to help troubleshoot, but really a lot of the learning that you'll be doing is on your own and on your computer, and it is much more aligned with career practices. And if you like it and you try it out, decide that that's your thing, as you continue on, Night Moves as a program will actually help you find an internship, and you can even after high school go directly into, they have a program right after high school that you can go on and get certifications, and they will help you find a job. You can also just take it for one semester as an elective because you're kind of interested and you just want to try it out. So just because it could lead to a job does not mean if you take that class you're tracked into having to go that way. It's kind of nice because, again, it's at your own speed. You can kind of learn lots of different modalities. In the computer science field, that has kind of some long-term goals as well. And then again, as you get older, more classes that we'll dig into next year. Family Consumer Science, there's an intro to Family Consumer Science class. It's just a one semester, kind of does a little bit of an overview. You'll notice lots of the freshman level classes are called intro or beginning. It's on purpose, right? It gives you a little bit of lots of the different classes you're able to kind of dig into later on. There's also a food and nutrition class you can take. Industrial tech, same thing, pretty much starts with beginning industrial tech. It's a 2-semester class. You can also take woodworking one or welding one. You do not have to take beginning industrial tech in order to take those 2 classes specifically. So sometimes you might only have room for 1 class in your schedule, or you might really just be interested in doing woodworking, and that's okay. You can find a way to make that work. And then as you get older, we have some other classes that can kind of advance you on in the woodworking and welding. We have a fire science class coming that's new next year. And some CAD technology, so lots of crossover between different departments like Ms. Wint talked about. We did music, and now we get to talk about Spanish. So Mrs. Schlein is one of our Spanish teachers, and she's just going to talk a little bit.
Hi, welcome. I'm Mrs. Schlein. I am currently teaching Spanish 1 and hope that's what I'm going to do next year, so I'd get to have you guys as students. So if you are planning on a 4-year school, or even if you're not right now, I majored in Spanish in college, and high school Spanish is much, much easier. So you would definitely want to get at least 2 years, depending on what program you're looking at or what school you're looking at. Most require 2 years of a foreign language. Spanish is the only offered here in the school. But if you're considering, it depends on what program you're considering for a 4-year school. They might let you in with 2 years, but they might not let you out with just 2 years, in which case you would then have to supplement with college class Spanish, and that would not be what I would recommend unless you're really super into the language and you want to be a Spanish major like me. But getting it done in high school, we offer a lot of opportunities, and it's a lot of fun, and it's a good elective to choose from. Also, our 2 ladies that were up here earlier talking about choir, they're also in Spanish, so it would fit in your schedule with all of the other things that you would be interested in doing. So again, you want to do at least Spanish 1 and Spanish 2, and I highly recommend doing that starting next year so that you'd be with your class, because you don't want to take Spanish 1 as a junior with a bunch of freshmen. So again, 4 years is my highest recommendation. We have another wonderful Spanish teacher here, so you would be able to get to take classes with her as well. So if you have any questions, Ms. Hardison can pass it along to me.
I highly recommend our Spanish classes. Our teachers are amazing. They're super helpful if you're like, I don't know how to even speak English some days. They can help you, I promise. The only one caveat I will say is if English is hard for you and that's a class that you're really challenged in, it might be okay to wait and take Spanish until a little bit later in your high school career, because we want you to have a good grasp on like your vocab and comprehension of the English language, so then you can expand that into Spanish. But that by no means means you can't do it if English is hard for you. It's just something to consider as we think about your whole picture of what is the best for you as you move through high school. Okay, I think this is my last one. This is our other catch-all slide. We have some classes that just you're interested, doesn't necessarily fit into one of those categories. We have a career exploration class. It's amazing. We have 2 teachers who do that. They have lots of guest speakers. They kind of cover all 16 different career pathways. So if you're like one of those people that's like, I have no idea what I want to do, that would be a great thing for you to consider. And you can see all of these classes, none of them go away after freshman year. On any of these slides or any of the departments we've talked about, if you don't take it your freshman year, it doesn't mean you don't have the opportunity to do it anymore. Even if it's like intro to ag, you can take that as a junior, take it as a senior. None of them go away. You're able to do that later. So just know that if you can't fit it all in, that's okay. You've got time and room later on. Stagecraft is a class that they kind of partner with our play and musical, and they build the stage, and they do lots of the behind-the-scene work, some of the lighting, like things like that. They also partnered with Mrs. Went. She did some work on like the art side. They co-taught that, which was really cool. So they got a little bit of couple different disciplines. We have a Kirkwood How College Works class that's available to freshmen. That's your one Kirkwood class that's available as a freshman. It's a lot of like, what are good study skills? How does colleges work? What's the difference between a 2-year, a 4-year, an apprentice? How might I get into college? So that's a good one. Again, you can take that at any point. Success Center is a class that you will be, that we will tell you that you are in. Remember when I said we're looking at ISAS, fast scores, diagnostic testing that they have done, and actually probably you will do some tomorrow. think you were supposed to do it yesterday, and then it snowed. So some of you will be doing some like math testing, and that will tell us if maybe you need some extra support. That's where Success Center comes in. It's a class that we have teachers designed to do some extra interventions to help support you. So you're coming in maybe not only in algebra, but then you're also in Success Center where you're learning some extra math skills and have some time and support to help you so that you get off to the right start in high school. So I will be able to tell you if you are being assigned into Success Center. Same thing with directed studies. We tell you that if your student or you have an IEP, you are in directed studies. That's where your SDI and your roster teacher will meet with you. So if you don't know what any of that means, it's probably not. If you don't hear from me and you don't hear that you need to be in one of those classes, it's probably not something that you will be in. Okay, so way back at the beginning, I said we were going to do two things. One, tomorrow I'm going to come down, because it's not going to snow again. We're going to work through this registration worksheet that hopefully you have and have some good conversations about. Bring your questions tomorrow. You do not have to come fully filled out and like feel like you have to know what you're going. Come and ask me questions. That's why I'm coming. That's what why we'll do it together, okay? We're going to get that all filled out. If you feel like you're at a good spot with it, and parents, if you want to sign it and send it and we'll keep it right away tomorrow, great. If you want to send with questions, and we go through it together, and then we can send it back home to you to see kind of what we figured out, and then you sign it and bring it back, also great. Then, on Monday, I'll be back, and Mrs. Lessenhop will be in to do what's called a 4-year plan. This is a requirement by the state of Iowa. Every 8th grader gets to do it. We actually do this every year of high school as well. Again, it's that idea of mapping out where you think you might want to go as you move through high school. This, actual classes they are registering for and will be in next year. This hypothetical plan of what they might want to do. I think every year I get a panicked call like, why did my kids sign up for physics in 12th grade? They don't want to take physics. I'm like, well, good news. Maybe they will. Probably they'll change their mind. That's okay. This is a hypothetical idea of a plan. As long as we get them kind of thinking about something that are different classes they want to explore and they're not just like throwing things on the page, it's okay. We update this every year because we also do this every year. Okay, so this, actual classes that they're in, this, hypothetical idea. Don't panic about this, I promise. We will help them lots of times with this, okay? So after they get that done, that also requires a parent signature. So our plan in all of our snow days and rescheduling is that both of those will be done by the end of the day Monday, and that you will have them at conferences. So when you have your conference signed up with your teacher, you'll be able to have copies of both of those that you can look at and sign at that time. If that does not work out, we will make it work and we'll send them home, but just be on the lookout for some of that. I think that is my last thing. Thank you for being here. Thank you for putting in the time. Thank you for listening to me and our other speakers that have talked tonight. We really are very excited. I love getting to come back to the middle school a little bit because I was there for a long time and I loved being a middle school counselor, but I love being a high school counselor, and part of this transition is my favorite part, is getting to see you move from 8th graders into high schoolers and watching that maturity and seeing how much you change and how much you start developing goals and plans. And so I'm excited to get that work started, and we're excited to have you here in our building and add to our student body. So we will stick around afterwards. If you have questions, please feel free to come up and ask. Again, this will get sent out to you with that presentation and all of those links. And 8th graders, I will see you tomorrow. Thank you very much.